Today I'm chatting with Teppei, the guitarist from the band Thrice. These guys have been going for over 20 years. They have a new album, Horizons West, out 3rd of October, and we're talking about the songwriting, how he honed his technical ability on guitar, balanced with both melodic and heavy post-hardcore riffage, and how he built his own custom guitar from scratch at his home workshop. Check out Thrice, there'll be some links below. Here's the chat. Whereabouts in the world are you? It looks like you're in your workshop.
Yeah. I'm in Orange County, California. How about yourself?
I'm in Brighton on the south coast of the UK.
Ah, Brighton.
So about an hour south of London. It will be your London show that I'll be going to next year.
Oh, cool.
I'm very much looking forward to that. This must be an exciting time for you. You have the new album coming out next week, October 3rd.
Oh, yeah. Wow,
it is getting there already, yeah, I'm afraid. And you guys must be off on your American tour first, right? And then you come to Europe.
Yeah, so we're heading out towards the tail end of October through November. Just doing like a full round around the US.
It must be exciting, but I did want to... so I've done in my research for this interview, which I've been very much looking forward to. It's been wonderful to go down a Thrice wormhole. I'll be honest with you. There's a real story behind all your stuff, but I feel like there's also a lesson to learn for anyone, especially creatives. But so correct me if I'm wrong. You had this new album, Horizons West, kind of ready to go after Horizons East. They were going to be like a 1-2, almost one back-to-back, right?
Correct.
Is that correct? But then you decided after doing the Horizons East tour to accompany that album, you felt like, whoa, hang on a minute, should we take a beat? And I wonder if you could talk about that a little bit, because that will also bring up, that must have been pandemic time, Horizons East, when you were coming up with all that. That must have been at least just at the tail end.
Like you said, the original plan was to sort of make them like Kid A and Amnesiac.
Sure.
So you know how Radiohead, that was sort of part of the same session, as far as I know, at least, right? Am I correct? So at least I think they were at least written in the same sort of session. So that was sort of the idea that we were gonna, so when we started writing Horizons, we just had a pretty big stockpile of ideas. And some stuff that we were not really thinking we wanted to scrap. And so we were like, well, why don't we just kind of work on all these ideas and we'll try and come up with like this, 2-part thing. But yeah, so once, you finish recording a whole record and you go through the whole process, it's a pretty long and arduous process. And so we did that. And then we came back after all the touring and stuff, and we kind of found that we weren't quite ready to just get back in the studio and start writing again. And so we just kind of made the call of like, well, in the end, I think it's going to be a better call for the project as a whole, just to put it off for now and come back to when we feel actually refreshed and ready to write again.
I think that's a great call. And to put this into context of the biggest British band right this year, anyway, 2025, Oasis, they had a big habit of making an album quickly, going on tour worldwide, falling out by the end of the tour, and then almost splitting up. And then their solution to that, rather than taking a break, was to go back in the studio. Almost like the Brits, us Brits, we like to, have a cup of tea to make things all right again. The have a cup of tea was going in the studio. And I feel like that had I feel like this is, you guys taking just a beat, even having the material ready, must be a bit of wisdom. Have been in a band for over 20 years kicking in, I feel like.
Yeah, I suppose so. I do think maybe, had it been earlier, maybe we would have been like, oh, we already said we were going to do this, or, let's just stick with it. And no, I do genuinely believe that in the end, it was a decision for the better.
There's 2 songs from the album released already that I've had a chance to listen to. Albatross. I love the bass tone of that. I love the punk tone to it. Love it, very bright. I presume that's got the pick attack on it. How did that song come out in particular? And also, I just want to put into context, You guys come up with like, you've said you come up with like 150 ideas for songs for each album, perhaps like little song start or like a lot. When you say you come up with a lot of ideas, that kind of number is very rare. Like people will maybe get 30. So maybe that song in particular and songs in general.
To be clear, that's like little snippets of ideas. So that could be
Yeah.
like a riff, that could be a chord progression, that could be a melody, could be a drum beat. It could even be like an ambient sound or something like that. So like, when we say that, it's not definitely not even close to being full songs.
But how
Um,
are you keeping track of all that? Because as a creative mind, that can be the hardest thing, right? We've got a
sure.
hundred ideas that I want to check with the rest of the group, but are some on your phone, some on the computers, and then how are you keeping track and sharing these things?
For me, mostly it's just like voice memos on my phone. I
Yeah,
mean, it's so easy nowadays. Like you come, you're sitting there noodling on the couch, you just play something cool, you go, "Hey, cool." And then you grab your phone and record it and there it is. That's an idea. So
that's
that
the dictaphone, right?
yeah, exactly. Some ideas maybe we want to hash out a little bit more just to be able to like present the idea better to everybody else. And then there's some ideas where you're like, I'm just going to keep it exactly the voice memo, and see what the guys do with this.
Absolutely. And there was a great to Albatross in particular. There's a great kind of, I would say Hendrix-ish ending with the
Oh
clean
yeah.
guitar part, double
Uh-huh.
stop stuff, or that's my guitar teacher mind working.
Uh-huh.
Was that from somewhere else and you're able to fold these ideas in, patching different voice memos together or that sort of thing? Or
That does happen, and that happens a lot of just patching different ideas together. I say that's the majority of stuff.
Mm,
Um, for Albatross in particular, we basically started with the bass riff. So the bass riff was, I mean, I think it's pretty clear. That's the foundation of the song. And so that was the original impetus of the whole song. Um, and so that came from, I think it was just a voice memo on Ed's phone of him playing that riff. Um, and we just got in the studio and just started jamming on that. And we had like a pretty loose idea for the chorus. I think mostly I don't even know if the vocal melody was set, but just sort of that kind of like pushing forward movement of the bass and the drums. That was kind of the like basis of the chorus idea, but I don't think we had much else. And so especially for me, like 100% of my guitar parts on that song were born out of just jamming.
amazing. And what gear are you using to do that? Were you using, you have your own guitar, not even your own signature, your own like you're in your workshop here. Is that making an appearance plenty on this album? And what electric guitar amps are you using and stuff like that?
I'd say like 50% or maybe 40% or so of the songs was the latest just electric guitar I built for myself. Um, it's got P90s in the bridge and the Telecaster neck pickup.
Nice.
Yeah, and so I've found that combination to be really cool, like really versatile. There's a few songs that are on baritone guitars.
I was
I was
gonna
gonna
say the next song it must be some kind of down tuning, right? That goes low.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a baritone guitar uh that I made that was again it's P90s. P90 in the bridge and then like I guess kind of like a jazz master pickup in a P90 body for the neck. So it's got like the pull pieces, no bar magnet, but it's, wound fat like a P90. So yeah. For Albatross in particular, I actually used a Strat.
Nice.
Yeah, that was like one song where I was like, I had a pretty clear vision of what I wanted the tone to be like, and I was like, I feel like this has to be a Strat. And so maybe that was the Jimi Hendrix parallel there. I don't know.
I can definitely hear that in the ending, but having recently got what do I have here? This fabulous bowler guitar with P90s. This has been my first guitar with P90s or
Okay,
VP,
yeah.
their version of P90s in it. I love that. I'm all about vintage styling, but modern playability and modern aspects.
That's a cool guitar, yeah.
Thank you. They are clean, but I love the breakup of P90s. Definitely gives it that my amp can't cope scream if you want it, but
Sure, yeah.
on the edge, on the however much you overdrive you give it, it's always on the edge. So what about what's giving you your distortion through your P90s? What amp or amp sims perhaps?
So on this record, I used a Bad Cat Era 30.
Yeah.
So Dustin's brother actually just started working for Bad Cat not too long ago. And so he was like, "Hey, you got to try these amps. I think you'll love them." So he brought some amps by the studio and I tried them out and I thought it sounded amazing. For the past however many records I've been Vox AC30, that's like my main thing.
Mm.
So Vox AC30, and I usually pair it with like another amp. So usually the last few records it's been like a JCM, no, not a JCM, JMP.
Yeah, nice.
Um,
Old school.
yeah, yeah. So Ed's actually got this really cool. I think it's been like kind of modded, but old JMP, and it sounds incredible. Yeah, that's my normal combo. But so this time, instead of the Vox, I actually ended up using that Batcat. So it was the Batcat and the JMP.
Nice. Sounds like a killer combo. And
Yeah.
is that what you'll be taking out on the road as well, or will it be different?
No, so a few years ago, I actually made the switch to Helix for live stuff.
Nice.
Um, yeah. So Dustin has been on the Helix thing for like a really long time. He was like a pretty early adopter of it. And to be honest, I kind of shied away from it for a while, but it started with doing tours overseas. So, every time we would go to Europe or UK or whatever, we would have to rent backline. And I just always found the backline amps to be one, unreliable because they're just being out on the road constantly, just being abused by who knows who. Um, and the sound is really inconsistent. So like you can get an amp that sounds amazing, or you can get an amp that sounds like, it's been rained on like 40 times or something.
That's valve
Um,
amps for you, right? You need to look after them.
Yeah, I started using Helix stuff for overseas stuff because I was like, no matter what I do, this will sound better than the rented stuff, and it'll be more consistent and reliable. Like I would actually always rent two Vox AC30s every time because one would almost always go out.
Yeah.
And that's nothing, bad on Vox or anything. I just think these things just get so used and abused that,
They
it's hard.
do, and they're by their very nature, they're having to go out on tour all the time.
Yes,
And if
which
they were
is
going on tour with one band, they wouldn't be used at half as much. They'd be used for three
yes,
months of the year. But it's been
exactly.
funny to see the sorry to interrupt.
No,
That's
no, no.
it's been funny to see the change. It always used to be for the convenience people in home studios using the digital stuff, but they want to take a real amp that they can turn up loud on stage. And
Right.
now, especially since pandemic times and just travel is so much more expensive, it's totally switched. Everyone
Yeah.
can't wait to use their valve amps in the studio in a soundproof booth, get the tone, but for the consistency and to have, that consistency of tone and a great sound both on stage and right at the back of an audience on a box this size.
Dustin's a pretty techie guy, and so
Sure.
he's always like kind of looking for the like latest technology. And so he was like a pretty early adopter on almost all things Line 6. And so we've had a relationship with them. Um, like I said, Dustin's been on Helix forever, and he was like, just try it. I think you'll really like it. So
Take me back a bit because this is primarily Andy Guitar's a guitar lessons channel primarily. Can you take us back? Can you remember the first riff you learnt on guitar and perhaps what your first guitar was?
yeah, I think it might have been Smoke on the Water was like the
Nice. I
first little
mean,
riff.
classic, right?
And then I do remember trying to learn Here Comes the Sun like pretty early on.
Sure. There's been
Yeah.
plenty of acoustic guitars on your tracks over the year. Where do you stand on that electric versus acoustic thing? Are you
No, at home it's all acoustic. I just, because I have acoustic guitars laying around the house.
That's it. That's
So
a
yeah,
big tip
that's
right there for guitar, any aspiring guitarist. Keep them out the cases, get
yeah.
them in the
Oh
living
yeah,
room.
absolutely. Oh yeah. Yeah, if you walk in our house, there's like I mean my kids have picked up the guitar.
Have
Yeah,
them out on
exactly.
display.
I mean, ours aren't even like nicely, I just have guitars laying on couches like just
Look, it's YouTube, isn't it? The
right.
other side of the room is not as neat, but this side
Right.
it's on camera. No, that's great though. Do you remember any? Because you are definitely a technical player, although you might. I've heard you be quite humble about your guitar skills in more recent interviews. By my
Yeah, okay.
standard, you're a technical guitar player.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Do you remember any particular gateway songs or techniques or lessons over the years, particularly in the early days, that were light bulb moments for you or gateway songs that you learned?
I'm not sure about like light bulb moments, but I mean, I was pretty into metal when I was, junior high.
Metallica were a huge influence, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I was learning, all those Metallica riffs, which were pretty technical, at least trying to learn them. So pretty early on. Um, I'd say that, and I actually took classical guitar lessons for, I want to say 2 maybe 2 years or so. I actually think that was like super foundational, sort of in hindsight. Um, I think it gave me sort of the the groundwork for technique, and sort of in hindsight, I do give those classical guitar lessons more credit than I think I did in the past. I remember warming up with these like, exercises and stuff like that. So, yeah.
That's it. Was it spider exercises or or was it more melody?
Spider exercises like the 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, that stuff.
And if it's funny that if you're obviously the right hand totally different as you pointed out, but for any heavy riffs or even shred guitar, it's the same as the classical. It's the classical setup, isn't it? It's straight on.
Yeah.
It's not the blues style with like doing bluesy bending. You're set like this. So there's actually more crossover than you would think as well. Do you remember what your I've seen you play some beautiful guitars over the years. Black Beauty Les Paul, and your current one's got the kind of Les Paul style with the double cutaway. What was your first proper guitar? Can you remember what it was?
Right. I do, yeah. It was the Fender Prodigy. I actually still have it.
Prodigy.
Yeah, it's kind of an obscure one. I think they only made it for like 2 years or something crazy like that.
That's great.
But yeah, I think I got it. It must have been the early 90s or so. And it was sort of their like first try at like a super strat. I think trying to combat with like, Jacksons and Charvels and whatever of the time. Yeah, it's actually a great guitar. It plays really nice. I still have it. And I used it on Illusion of Safety, which was, I guess, our second full length. There's like a sort of like clean, sort of Hendrixy guitar intro to one of the songs, and that was actually that guitar. So
What
yeah,
was the hardest thing to get right on the guitar that you made, or any guitars that you've made over the years? Because you went in heavy. I read one of the inspirations was you wanted to wind your own pickups for one of your other
yeah,
guitars, right? So that is not a lot of people start with cigarette or cigar box guitars or something
yeah,
easier,
yeah.
right? Some
Uh-huh.
kind of kit. That's winding pickups is very hands-on and very delicate and difficult. So what was the hardest thing to finish, to get it up to standard where it's your go-to guitar?
To be honest, I'm still working on it. I think maybe any guitar maker would say this, but you know, uh, there hasn't been a single guitar where I haven't been like, oh, I messed up here, or I could have done this better, or you know. So there's always something that's you're trying to get better at, which is kind of the fun part, I guess, of it.
Reminds me of
Um,
learning guitar and writing songs. There's always something you're
yeah,
working on.
yeah, that never-ending chase of perfection, I guess.
Indeed. And to finish up, what was your gateway into production? Because you've engineered the band for quite a while now, and you guys are self-producing.
I've always been interested in recording. I'm not sure why. I thought it was interesting, I guess. So when we recorded our first full length, we did it at a local studio here in Orange County, and I ended up interning there for a little while. So I actually learned how to record on 2-inch tape.
Wow, that is rare.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I
that's
mean
that's
this must have been
phenomenal.
like 99, 2000 or so. But yeah, so the studio that I was interning at, we were just transitioning to Pro Tools. So it was like some stuff was digital and some stuff was still 2-inch tape. And so I learned both. Um, and then it was just sort of like a necessity thing. Like the band needed somebody to record the demos and do all that kind of stuff. And so,
It's incredible. Look, necessity is the something or other. I forget the exact term. But that reminds me of, is there anything that you miss about what you learned from recording on tape? Or do you think there is anything? What's the biggest thing that we're missing recording purely digitally these days? Because I guess it's a lot more than the sound. You know,
yeah.
the warmer sound we can get pretty close to these days, where most people aren't going to be able to tell a difference. But I feel like, is there something about the capturing a moment of tape or capturing one performance? Do you
Yeah.
remember anything about when you were recording on tape and that being the priority?
Yeah, it does tend to be a little more fly by the seat of your pants kind of thing. Like you just have to make it work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, Sort of keeps you in the moment a little more too in that
Yeah.
sense. Like I think it's a lot like film photography, for instance. Like,
Yeah.
you know, with a digital camera, you're out and you take a photo, you sit there and you look at it, you know, and then you take another one, you look at that, you might be scrolling through things. It takes you completely out of the moment. Whereas if you're taking a, you know, film photo, like you take a photo of something and that's it. You move on. And so that kind of keeps you in the moment a little more, I feel like. And I would say that, yeah, recording the tape is sort of akin to that, you know?
I feel like it's less the analog versus digital, perhaps more the quantizing thing, and they're being so led by a visual. I think people on analog and on tape,
Oh, I see.
you're not as
Yeah,
conscious of the waveform. So you're
absolutely.
more likely to be led more by your ears, perhaps, as well, would be what I'd comment on.
For sure. Yeah. And I think that's like a huge crux with digitals. Like, at least for me, the thing that I value in music is the human quality in music. I mean, music to me is a expression of human emotion, thought, you know, whatever. So it's like when you when you're quantizing everything perfectly to a grid, you're like doing every take so everything's perfect to the T. You're missing the human in the music. And to me, that's like the antithesis of what I, at least for me, what I enjoy in music. And so yeah, you do have to be super careful with that kind of stuff. I mean, I think we look at them as tools that you can use, but not uh like a way of doing it. You know what I mean? I
100%.
think
And when people are wanting to learn and get better and get faster at playing, they're trying to get technically correct. They're trying to be bang on the beat, but they're not always thinking of what sound they're actually making while they're doing it.
sure, yeah, you have to remember you're making music. It's got to
Yeah.
sound musical. Yeah.
I mean, recording must have been a part of that journey for you. You listen to your own guitar playing back and make adjustments rather than trying to adjust while you're playing, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I think that's a really wonderful thing. So you guys are off on tour in the USA for the remainder of this year, pretty much, and then next year in Scandinavia, Germany, the Netherlands, and then the UK. And I will see you on March 19th at London's O2 Kentish Town. I
All
am looking
right.
forward to it, man. It's very
Cheers, man.
exciting.
Yeah, thank you.
All the best with the new album. You guys, please check it out. I've had a lot of fun listening to Thrice's whole back catalogue, but the new stuff is sounding amazing. And Teppei, thank you so much for chatting with me today. It's been great to catch up.
Cheers. Thank you.